Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, breaking down the Week 12 matchups, providing our predictions. And here we go. We're just about 30 minutes away from the noon Eastern Time kickoff, so I've got to get these in. 113 and 99 against the spread. That's about 54%. The goal, 60%. I usually hit about 57 to 58%. I do better later in the year. 113 and 99. Not good enough, but for those of you who watch me on a regular basis know that I say I'm not a handicapper. I'm not an odds maker. This is just for fun. I put about 10 minutes into this, so take it for what it's worth. I'm 172 and 64 straight up. And remember, I've been tracking the upsets, and there are 20 to 25% of the games that are straight up upsets against the top 25 games. Straight up. Money line upsets. So be looking out for those games. Since we typically pick about 20 games per week, there are 4 to 5 upsets per week. All right. The first game, I said that I usually take about 10 minutes. Actually, I exhausted about 3 hours on this prediction. I had to run the advanced metrics. I did all sorts of comparisons. I did everything imaginable in terms of research. I'm going with Bama over Citadel. I'm going to take that on a hunch. When it came down to all the metrics, Citadel had it on the Tide, so I had to go with Bama, a hunch at home, pulling off the upset. Okay, so many of these games, because of the SEC taking the bye week, don't have point spreads, so I'm just going to pick the game because I pick all the top 25 games, both against the spread and straight up. Ohio State at Maryland. Buckeyes cover the 13.5. They win the game, of course. Idaho at Florida. Can the Gators score 43 points against air? Take Idaho plus the 43 in Gainesville. Of course, Florida wins the game. Penn State at Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights playing much better football as of late. I will take the 28.5 points. Can Penn State win the game by 40? Yes, they can. So that's not a lock or a guarantee by any stretch. I will say it just about every time I cut these videos. The games over 3 touchdowns stay far, far away. You don't know who's going to be playing in the fourth quarter. You don't know how hard they're going to be playing. And it's not always the team that's behind that's always playing harder than the team that's on cruise control, because the team that's on cruise control, the big favorite, might have the second and third team in, and those guys might be proving a point. That's their only time on the field for the next 6 weeks. So they might be proving a point. Some coaches lay down the hammer. Other coaches say, let's get on the bus, give up 10 points in the final 5 minutes. Who cares? Let's go. Middle Tennessee at Kentucky. Take Middle Tennessee plus the 16.5, much like Florida. The Cats can't score. Kentucky does win the game with that great defense. Arkansas at Mississippi State. Bulldogs win at home. Arkansas playing much better football as of late. See LSU. See some other matchups in the SEC Western Division. Chad Morris quietly doing apparently a good job there with Arkansas. I have yet to see one play of an Arkansas game, and I will when they become somewhat relevant again. Northwestern at Minnesota. The Wildcats are, I think this is a rule for 2018. They're an underdog every week, regardless of who they play, and they are the Big Ten Western Division champs with 2 games to play. They were an underdog against Purdue. They won. They were an underdog against Iowa. They won. They were an underdog against Wisconsin. They won. They've won all their Big Ten Western Division games. They're only one loss in the Big Ten at 6-1 was against Michigan by 3. Northwestern wins this game. I know it could be a classic letdown. I just saw the Wildcats on the field with no shirts on in 22-degree weather, so I think they're ready for the game. Pat Fitzgerald woke them up. Take Northwestern to win the game outright, plus the 3 points. Michigan State at Nebraska. It's not a top 25 game, but I'm going to pick it anyway, just because I like to. Take Nebraska at home against Michigan State. The Spartans they're beat up. They couldn't score last week against Ohio State. Nebraska's got a marginal at best defense, but they can really explode on offense. I like Nebraska at home. I think they're playing for something, playing for pride. They're playing to prove something. Can't underestimate Mark D'Antonio's team, of course. But I like Scott Frost in this position at home, minus the 1.5. Pitt at Wake. The Panthers can wrap up the Coastal Division with a win. This is a classic upset pick right here, but it's not going to happen. Panthers too physical for Wake. They win the game, but I'll take Wake and the 6 points. Utah at Colorado. I'm going against everything conventional that I know about these two football teams and watching them play this year. And I've seen both of them 2 to 3 to 4 times. And I picked Utah to win the Pac-12 South, so it makes no sense for me to pick against them. But, as I mentioned, there are, on average, 4 to 5 upsets per 20 games in college football. I'm not picking 4 upsets this week. I've got 3, but keep in mind the SEC is taking a week off, so that eliminates like 7 upsets right there, potentially. I'm going to go with Colorado on a hunch. Utah's a much better football team. I'm going with the Buffs at home, so of course I'll take the 7.5. Utah State at Colorado State. Have not seen either one of these two teams play. If you watch me on a regular basis, you know I'm focused on the Power 5. We do take the group of 5 into account. I love the group of 5. Try to watch it on Thursday and Friday night, but I know little except Utah State's on a roll. So I take Colorado State plus the 28.5. I'll take the Aggies straight up. Syracuse at Notre Dame. Most important game of the day, barring a huge upset elsewhere. Syracuse is playing so well. But Notre Dame, in regards to metrics of physical play at the line of scrimmage, I like them to win this game and cover the 10 points. West Virginia at Oklahoma State. Right out of the gate, I couldn't imagine that West Virginia was only a 4-point favorite early in the week. They're comparable on offense, but the Mountaineers have one of the top 5 offenses in college football. Oklahoma State has maybe one of the top 20 or 25. West Virginia is so much better on defense. But Oklahoma State, man, they have played Oklahoma tough. They've played Texas tough. The only thing that concerns me is Oklahoma State laid it all out on the field last week at Oklahoma as a 3-touchdown underdog, only losing by 1 point at the gun. That said, I'm still going to take the points here. West Virginia wins the game. Oklahoma State plus the 6.5. BC at Florida State. Curious line here for me. BC's playing so much better. I know that they've got to take the backup quarterback on the road, but I take BC -1 at Florida State. USC at UCLA. If the Trojans have their heads in the game, they win. Going away, lay the 3. Indiana at Michigan. The Hoosiers, we outlined this on our prediction video this week. Indiana, Michigan. I took Michigan 38-13. Therefore, do the math. Indiana is getting 28.5. I've seen 29. I'll take it. Barely. Michigan wins the game. UMass at Georgia. When the line gets to 40, it's almost like automatic. Just take the points. I have no idea. It's a flip of the coin. It shouldn't go against my record. I'm actually starting to chart my record. The 3 touchdown spreads and over, throwing those out. They're included in the 113-99 record, but I'm keeping a separate record because basically that's proving to be a coin flip. Anything over 3 touchdowns, because again, you can be totally right on the game, but there can be a backdoor cover because it's a garbage time in the fourth quarter. So this is the perfect example. I'll take the 42 points because it's 42 points. Georgia could win this game 56-0. UMass plus 42 against Georgia. Now, I do have a reason for taking Oregon State in 33 against Washington. With all the hyper focus on the college football playoff and Washington State's outside shot, let's not forget that the Huskies of Washington can win the Pac-12 North by winning this week and going and beating Washington State, despite their 3 overall losses. The Huskies have better personnel. They might be looking ahead, though, to winning that game and going to the Rose Bowl. So Washington wins, of course, but I'll take Oregon State plus 33. Duke at Clemson. I would like to think there's an upset possibility here just for interest's sake. I'll take Duke in 29. Of course, Clemson wins the game. Kansas at Oklahoma. 35's too much. Maybe. Oklahoma could blow their doors off. Of course, Oklahoma's going to score over 50. Let's take in the 58-27 range here. Kansas plus 35, take it. Rice plus 42, LSU. LSU, like Florida, like Kentucky, although Kentucky's spread's only 16.5. These teams can go out there and not score this many points against the scout team or against air. And I know Rice is that bad. Take Rice plus the 42 at LSU. LSU wins the game, sets up the matchup against Texas A&M. All right, the big primetime matchup, Cincinnati, Central Florida. Despite defensive woes, despite Cincinnati's physical prowess, they're a physical football team. Take Central Florida. UCF covers 7 and wins their 23rd straight. Iowa State at Texas. Yes, I picked the Longhorns to win the Big 12 championship before the season started. They desperately need this game. They have to have it or they're eliminated. I like Iowa State, the way they're playing on defense, and Texas has been beat up on defense. I know the Longhorns are at home. They're a 3-point favorite, but I'm taking Iowa State to win. And, of course, we'll take the 3 points. Finally, Arizona plus 11 at Washington State. The Cougars have barely been scraping by some teams, so I'll take Arizona plus the 11 points. But with their shoddy defense, not quite good enough, although they've improved considerably under the radar this season after a horrible start. Washington State sets up the Apple Cup and a college football playoff hope. Arizona plus 11, though. Cougars win the game. All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please like, comment, subscribe. Only if you love college football or really like me for some reason. We'll see you next time.